Good evening and welcome to the West Yorkshire Football Show. It is a Talk Town special, and today's headline by Steve is Town leave it late to seal a point from the Seasiders. You should have spelled steal, or you should have, yeah. Anyway, I thought I had a funny thing in my head, but it's totally gone on it. It's just ruined the opening. Cal, you're shaking your head.
Wow.
Understand? How are you, Mike?
I'm wonderful, sir. How are you?
Yeah, I was all right until that. Basically, what I'm trying to say, you should have put seal, steal a point instead of steal.
No, because that doesn't. Well, actually,
Yeah,
no,
I know.
we did technically seal a point.
Yeah,
I'll leave that with you. I'll leave that one to settle.
that might have been, that could have been a good one, but it was just ruined completely.
Good / bad pint of Guinness. I'll just leave it to settle.
Yeah. Steve, on that bad note of an opening, how are you, my friend?
Back on presenting duties next week. Yeah. No, I'm all good, mate. I'm all good. Relaxing weekend after yesterday. So yeah, all good.
Yeah, heart rates must have been absolutely everywhere for both of you yesterday. I know it certainly was up in the press area. And Steve, let's start with you. Town 2, Blackpool 2. This is how Huddersfield Town lined up. It was Lee Nichols in goal. We had a back three with Balker, Feeney and Wallace. Gooch and Mumba, the two wing-backs. Ledson and McGuinn through the middle of the park. Humphreys and Harness just in front of them two, playing off Dion Charles. Looking at that lineup when you saw it, did you expect to see something similar to that?
Yeah, because obviously, particularly up front, we didn't have we didn't have May and we didn't have Bojan, and I think it would have been asked to just throw Bobby Wales into it, and we know Reinhard is not ready. So yeah, I was expecting something similar. That's what we got. No real surprises, unfortunately, or fortunately, whichever you see.
Cal, how about you when you saw the lineup? Fairly happy with it? Did you expect
happy given
else?
the circumstances? I'd say it's probably the best that we could put out at the moment, given what's going on with May, and obviously Hardy's got a niggle, and obviously Bobby Wales has only been in the building since deadline day. So I would rather we do what we're doing now and let them get the minutes in on the training pitch and get up to speed with the system, rather than doing what we've historically done in recent seasons and just throwing new players right in at the deep end and sort of slowly watching their decline and then blaming them for not being able to play the system that they've been thrown into. So the best in given the circumstances, but I think probably we could get stronger.
Do you think we could get stronger? Well, obviously, you're going to believe that we get stronger once we have players back then as well. And I think we're pretty close to having a few back. But typically, anytime something happens, we have injuries, we have suspensions, and it's just one of them unfortunate things which Town at the moment are just riding as well as they can.
Yeah, and I don't think you can ask them to do much more than what they're doing. There's players that have stepped in that wouldn't necessarily have thought they'd get the nod, given the amount of striking options that we've got on paper. If you take away the suspensions and injuries, etc., you wouldn't think Dion Charles would have a sniff at starting a game for Huddersfield Town at the moment. But situations dictate what goes on, and that's where we find ourselves. So, although I don't think he's the answer, is the only one we've got at the minute.
Yeah, I'm just seeing a comment from Paul as well. He's saying, not a fan of Charles. I think we've got a gem in Bobby Wales, or he looks good. So we'll come on to what we thought of some of the players as well. Tim, I've seen your question that you've put in there, so thank you for your comments already. That was before we even got live, so we will come to it at some point. What have we got here as well from Mark? We were off it in the first half, started a bit slowly, and I thought, and Charles was a bit isolated. I hope for Al's to start to give a spark. Okay, gents, so what did we make of the first half, Steve? Just an overall feeling of it, and obviously Town did go 2 goals down at half-time going into the sheds, but how did you see it? What were your thoughts on that first half?
I thought for the first 15 minutes we were really good. We created some great chances that really we should have done better with. Charles, particularly one, I thought he started really brightly. Although I do agree with Paul, he won't be necessarily your first choice man up there, but needs must. But yeah, he should have scored maybe. And the one definitely to the back post with Ballymumba. Unfortunately, he couldn't get on the end of it. But yeah, we should have been maybe a goal up in the first sort of 15, 20 minutes. And then I don't know what happened, really. I mean, I wouldn't say we necessarily started to play badly. They just seemed to score out of absolutely nowhere. And I know we'll probably, maybe detail the goals more, but you've asked for a general opinion. I mean, it kind of just, the game sort of like turned on its head, really, when they scored the 2 goals. And I was a bit mystified at half time how we were sat 2-0 down, to be absolutely honest, Ken.
And Cal, do you feel the same way? Were you a bit shocked at being 2-0 down at half time?
Yeah, I think we sort of started the game quite well. Blackpool had a spell in the early minutes, but the game settling down, then we settled into a really long, maybe 20-minute spell where we kept most of the ball. We were playing that nice sort of intricate passing and doing all the things that we should have been doing. But then we're sort of undone twice by, I don't want to call it lackluster play, because that questions the sort of not only the ability but the integrity of the players on the pitch, and we have seen that they can deliver good results. In recent weeks they've been playing out their skins, so maybe a result like this was coming. But to concede like that, to concede 1, okay, to concede 2, I think you've really got to question the concentration at that point, because we were let down by not even frailty, just a lack of awareness.
So, do either of you two think that in the first half, Blackpool's setup were actually brilliant and it was just perfect in a sense? Because for me, I thought their shape and the way they pressed forced Town into quite a lot of errors. And also, after they started to score their goals, they stretched the pitch. Rather than becoming quite narrow, they controlled it a little bit better than what we'd expect Town to do. So, what we've seen over the last couple of games where that press has been quite high, we saw Charles pressing on his own or Harness pressing on his own, and there were no support behind them. But arguably, the reason why that was because the Blackpool defence were on the edge of the penalty area and the attackers were in the opposition half. So, they want exactly easy to press. So it was a case of trying to get around that. And I personally, again, I thought in the first half their game plan, it suited the game, and that's why they found themselves in the lead. But we've got a comment here from Paul as well, and Steve, going to come back to you. I think the defence were a bit pedestrian though. Is that a fair comment?
Yeah, I think you're right in terms of Blackpool definitely stretched the pitch from the back line to the forward line. You could see how it really worked well, the fact that we couldn't get any control in the middle of the pitch because seemingly the ball wasn't really there, unlike in the previous 3 games where we managed to really get a grip of that midfield, particularly Ledson and McGuane, who have been a decent partnership in the couple of games that we've seen them. It seemed to be the fact that when the ball was being played over the top to Fletcher and the other lad particularly, it wasn't the fact that our defenders couldn't handle it. It was then we couldn't then get it to our midfield. And I think at times Feeney was a bit slow at bringing the ball out. Bolker had to do a lot of that. And I think Blackpool recognised that, Murray Wallace isn't the best on the ball. Feeney was being too slow. So all they had to do really was press Bolker, who was the one trying to bring the ball out. And I think that was our only outlet and mistake. The other thing that we didn't do was use the wings well enough, which arguably then in the second half, which I know we'll come on to, we did a lot better. Gooch had a poor game, and unfortunately Ballymumba seemed to be marked out of play on the other side in the first half. So kind of Blackpool, you have to respect their game plan, really. It worked a treat, and I know that he sort of switched the formation slightly or sort of tinkered with it in the first, that sort of second bit of spell that Blackpool had in the first half, which kind of worked a little bit, but by that time, obviously, we were 2-0 down by, I think it was, the 36th minute or something. So I agree with Cal that, the second goal with a concentration, but the first goal for me is the more disappointing one because I feel like Lee Nichols could have saved that.
I think it's really interesting. Just if you sort of cast your mind back to August when we played Blackpool in Blackpool, similarly they score. Well, we go 1-0 up. They score, but they then make the pitch much wider. We struggle to cope with it. We go 2-0 down, then we go 2-1 down, then 3-1 down. In a very, very similar fashion. Now, two different managers in the dugouts for both teams at this point. Steve Bruce at the time, Ian Evatt now. We had Lee Grant and now Liam Manning. But interesting that their sort of resilience seems to show that after they score a goal, they'll expand their play and try and get that second. And each time we've come up against it, we've really struggled to sort of put up anything against it. What I will say, though, is in that game at Blackpool, we had much more of the ball. We sat on nearly 80% possession that day, whereas it was pretty much 50-50 yesterday. So tactical differences and tactical changes, but one thing that sort of carries through is that we are not quick enough in reacting after going a goal down. Blackpool very quick in putting their foot back on the pedal to try and get another one.
And Cal, in terms of that first half, do you think it was a reactive rather than a proactive first half performance? And is there anything that you would have done differently in that first half?
I'd have enjoyed.
We're getting a fine for that, by the way.
That was my computer. Sorry. I would have enjoyed what I think we needed after the first goal was Lee Nichols to go down with cramp. All the players go over to Liam Manning and just say, right, okay, we need a bit of instruction now on how we're going to nullify what's happening, how we're going to keep the shape, and how we're not going to allow that to happen again. Because what happened was we concede the goal, there's a spell, then we concede again, but the mistakes have been made again.
And Steve, to you before I go through some comments, because we've got plenty of comments in, guys, so thank you very much for putting them in. Got quite a few to go through. Steve, is there anything, like Cal said, like to see Nichols go down, have that bit of like a team talk in there to change things up? Is there anything else you would have done?
I don't know, because you wouldn't have made a sub, so
no, not in the first half, unless someone's absolutely dreadful. Yeah.
It's difficult because I didn't feel like Blackpool dominated us. I'm pretty sure the only two shots that they had were the two goals in the first half, unless I've got that wrong.
No, well, I see where you're going.
I just don't think they were dominant. So it's not like
they don't necessarily need to be dominant though to have the same amount of the ball.
No, but my point is that I don't think we've watched games, haven't we? In the first half of the season. Albeit under a different manager, where we've been absolutely dominant for 10 minutes and then absolutely dreadful after the first 10 minutes for the rest of the half. I don't think we were dreadful. It were like the goals were nothing. They came out of nothing. I just found it really strange. Like it were like two errors of judgment, and that were it. I thought Blackpool were like all right. Don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't say that we were absolutely on the back heels and they came at us with absolute thunder and lightning. I wouldn't say that at all.
See, I thought they were quite quick and direct when they managed to get the ball forward. And I think that's probably what caught Town by surprise a little bit. Right, well, let's go through some comments, because I think there's a couple of things here that you both might want to comment through. Terry930, good evening to you, my friend. I've seen that. You mentioned about the playoffs. We might speak about that one a little bit later on. Paul says, McGuane wasn't at it yesterday. We had to change him. We still look vulnerable at the back. Nichols could have done better with the first goal. That's still a worry, says Jed. We've conceded quite a few goals this season. to deep far post crossing. They found us out at the back loads of times yesterday. We can't beat Blackpool, says Paul. Standard tactic when a team plays wing backs, pinging the ball into behind. Gooch didn't cope well. Obviously, he did mean pinging, did John. Blackpool played a perfect game. I think Town lost momentum for an hour until the subs came on. We're going to come on to the subs. I'm very, very sure of that once we come into the second half. When Sorensen and Kasumu came on, we looked better, and Wales had a good first outing for us. Humphreys and Harness in the first half, and either attackers or midfielders were in between and ineffective supporting each other. Defence were too relaxed at times. I thought was a shoe-in for a win. But yeah, so half-time comes. What's both Carl? What's your team talk at half-time? How would it go?
I actually messaged one of my really good mates is a big Blackpool fan, and he messaged me saying, "What is happening?" So I said something along the lines of, my team talk would be along the lines of a Football Manager team talk. Show me something else in the second half, something like that, because you almost want to say go out and win the half, because like Stephen says, we didn't do that much wrong in terms of the time we spent on the ball, and you know we played quite well in between those two goals before and after. But it was the moments of, I don't know, the moments of lack of concentration, or the moments where for just a second you're that split second away from your man, and they get away from you, and then it's a goal. And recovering from that, we just weren't fast enough. So I think for me, it's a bit of a leave what's just happened in the past. I need to see you go out and play the football that you've been playing for the last 3 weeks, because you know it's in there, and you know you can blow teams away, but you need to go out and play it.
And Steve, what would your team talk have been at halftime?
I'd have been more like we need to be more effective on the wings. We need to get the ball out quicker from the back into midfield, where McGuane particularly is great on getting on the ball and being able to manipulate play. We were too slow. And also, we need to not just give it to Bolker all the time because he's the best at doing it. We need to do something different. So it was either we give it to Bolker and he runs through the middle and tries to make an incisive pass, or we give it to Murray Wallace and he just chips it down the wing, a la Matty Pearson style, but maybe with a bit more direction. So I feel like we just need that's what I'd have been. I'd have made changes at half time. I'd have brought the subs on. Or some subs. I'd have made some changes, but obviously he didn't decide to do that. So that would have been my team talk. Get it out to the wings quicker, be faster on the ball like you've been at Peterborough, Bradford, and Luton against Luton, and move the ball quicker, particularly into midfield.
Yeah, I think that one was one for me. So I say this a lot, even when I've coached myself, but you got to play the conditions. It was a bit windy. It was that fine rain that gets you right where it was horrible. And, you know, it's not the worst conditions to play in, but I feel as if the field was just nice and wet, and that means you can just move that ball a hell of a lot quicker. So the tempo needed to be up from me, I thought. I know what you're saying, Steve, about the changes at half time, and it was a conversation we had on commentary. Now, Liam Manning afterwards said, I didn't want to make the changes at half time yet because I'm still learning how the players react. And this is the first time he's been in this situation, losing at half-time. So do you understand that side of it as well? Do you think, actually, yeah, I see why he would have done that? And did he get that reaction?
I get his point, but he didn't get the initial reaction, did he? Like, it took him... It only took him 9 minutes until he chucked the first sub on. So he obviously, which is good, like in terms of reacting to obviously noticing the players aren't doing what maybe he's asked them to do or whatever. not in a bad way. They're just not fulfilling what he's wanting from them. So he's seen that change, so he's being reactive. So that was good. It only took him 9 minutes, but realistically, he could have made those changes at half time.
Cal, do you understand that from Liam Manning as well? As much as Steve's saying he preferred to make the changes at half time. Maybe going forward, he has learned now, and he might not get the reaction that he was hoping for by giving him an extra 9 minutes.
Let me be the first to say that after everything I said about Lee Grant's lack of clarity and his football jargon, let me be the first to say I massively appreciate when a manager comes out and says or answers the question, why didn't you do this? And he answers with, because I'm still learning how the players react, and he gives an actual answer that you can go, oh yeah, fair enough, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Instead of going, well, we had to configure how the group was moving through phases 6, 7, 9, and 4, and then come up with some phases of play to match that. It doesn't make sense. So tell me that you didn't make the subs because you want to see how the players would react to what you said at half time. You want to see whether they were going to implement what you said. And then tell me that it didn't work, which sometimes it won't work. So you make the sub. And I do think the subs made a difference.
I'm about to say, Callan, and arguably, after that sub for David Kasumu and Wales coming on for Dion Charles and Cameron Humphreys, that's actually when Town started getting into the game a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely. And you could almost see his instructions at play when these players came on, because they came on with a new sort of vigour and a different direction in terms of the way we were going to try and break down Blackpool and get back into the game. And also, obviously, look at the scoreline. It worked. But in order to do that, I think what we need to work on is getting these players to be able to have that mindset from the first minute or from just after half time, instead of having to wait until later in the game where you're almost trying to salvage something. When you've gone 1 or 2 down, having the mindset of, right, well, we'll try something else and we'll give it a go, rather than waiting so long that then 2-2 feels like a great result.
I'm just going to go through a couple of comments and then I'm going to come to you, Steve. So the subs changed the game for me. We looked dangerous when Miller, Sorensen came on and Manning changed it. Nice to see a manager who knows how to change games with his subs at his disposal. Under Grant, we would have suffered a heavy defeat yesterday after going 2-0 down. We missed Lowe massively yesterday. Fletcher was superb for them physically, was too much for us. His link-up play was brilliant. I have to agree, Luke. I thought that Fletcher, I'll be honest with you, I'll put my hands up. I was saying on my comms I don't really rate him before the game, and typically he scored, and typically I did say he will score now. I've said that. But he looks as if he should be a big number 9 target man. But I think he fooled quite a lot of people by dropping in, and I think he played really well. That's just my opinion anyway. That's the beauty now, lads. We have a manager who can see what's going wrong and bring on subs and back in the game. Remember, we could have been 3-0 down. Nichols redeemed himself with that Fletcher save, a fantastic save from the volley as well, down to his right-hand side. A good effort from Fletcher, but a fantastic save from Lee Nichols. Blackpool sat back and just hoofed it and gave Town the signal to press high, and it worked. John says, do you think we're having a week of training? Manning has started to ask the defence to play out from the back again. Bradford and Luton noticeable we played a lot more long ball. Right. John will come on to that question. But Steve, I think really the common theme here with the comments that we're getting in, which are fantastic, by the way, thank you, keep getting them in there, is that again, and you've mentioned it yourself, Steve, before, it's the subs. And again, we've seen them, or seem to be seeing them, at the right time. We have Kasumu, Wales come on, and then we had Miller and Sorensen, and that just bred so much more speed as well. Because you mentioned at halftime you would like to see it be quicken up, so tempo, and then the pace as well of them two.
Yeah, and I also think it was quite clear when he made the subs that we went to a back 4. And that shoved an extra person in midfield, which made a difference. When Kasumu came on, he's obviously got a lot of energy. I didn't think Humphreys was particularly good But I wouldn't say he was terrible, but he just weren't effective in any way. I think there was a comment earlier that said he didn't really do anything in the attacking sense or the defensive sense. And I think Kasumu came on, added real energy in there. I think obviously Sorensen, who eventually came on for Gooch, was a lot better when he came on. Really made a difference. I really like Miller anyway. I've always liked him. It's just such a shame that he's been so injury prone since he's been here. I think he's got real drive and energy. And although when we went to a back four, even though Ballymumba went to left back, which is traditional position, it didn't mean to say we held him from going forward. Actually, he got more freedom if you noticed how he played, which was really good to see. So I think it was more effective when we went to a back four. We got the ball out quicker. We got it into midfield quicker, which then affected really Blackpool because they started to sit back. They couldn't handle, like I said, that partnership with McGuinn and Ledson being in midfield. I thought when Bobby Wales came on, he was more aggressive up top than Charles. I think it's a bit unfair with Charles because obviously he's not that type of player, but you could see whilst Bobby Wales was rusty, he added that physicality up top, and that meant we could get up the pitch more. I actually think, Kane, if we'd have had Bojan in that first half, I don't think we would have been as passive. I think the game would have been different if Bojan would have played from the beginning. I'll be honest.
Why?
Because I think we'd have got up the pitch more faster. I think we'd have put it into him. We know he can hold it up. We know he's clever. We know he's got a lot better throughout this season at doing that. And because we didn't have that option, because you can't necessarily do that with Dion Charles, it meant that we had to be cute and clever at the back, and that's why we were slow out getting the ball out. I think that's why Bojan makes a massive difference to our team, or having a big man up there. Hopefully, when Ryan Hardy is fit and available, he'll add that. But I certainly thought Bobby Wales did that quite well when he came on myself.
Yeah, he was a little bit rusty, but he got a few nice touches in, didn't he, and held up the ball well. The first goal, Cal, I think the reason I'm going to come to you because, again, I'm going to come to what the manager said after the game, and you're going to appreciate it, is that Miller was on that right-hand side. He worked really hard. The ball comes in. Harness grabs the goal. We were going to touch on the goals, but just very quickly. This one's for you again, Cal. It's the case of then Ashia comes on and then goes on the right-hand side, and Miller comes to the left-hand side, and Miller's involved again for the goal. And Liam Manning mentioned that he wanted to see what it was like with a left foot on the right-hand side to cut in, and then decided he wanted to change it up again because it felt the right thing to do. And again, the manager's come out and said that. Brilliant.
Because I can sit there, having watched the game, and go, yeah, I get it. I understand what you've done, and look at the result. I mean, we'll probably try that again now because it's gone well. But if it doesn't go well, then you don't try it again. And it's all about trying to find where you can slot in when you need cover, or if the left side needs help or the right side needs help, who can go over and who can slot in. I don't want to use the phrase "who's the square peg in the round hole," but you could argue that we are trying almost to find out the best ones to put in those positions, because you're a new manager coming into a team that's, given January and the time before, that's played together well, but not necessarily played to all of their strengths whilst they've all been on the pitch together. So it's been a bit fragmented and a little bit bitty in terms of who gets game time when and what they're asked to do. So with a new manager coming in that's explaining clearly to the fans, the media, and I'm assuming and hoping the players as well, what his intentions are and why he's doing what he's doing, it can breathe new life into these players because they're seeing the vision. And that is clear to see when you look at what the players are doing and what they're being asked to do versus what they did under the previous manager. They could well have been asked to do the same things, but because they don't understand why or exactly the intricacies of what they've been asked, it doesn't look anywhere near as good and it doesn't come off.
So let's go to the first goal then, Cal. Marcus Harness is being nominated for Player of the Month. He's having a good time at the moment and popping up with a header. You know, and I think again what the manager said was he wanted to get more bodies in the box, and it's something Town didn't really do in the first half. Second half, they do it, and we weren't really expecting Marcus to score with his head in there, were we? But you know, it's great work, good pressure down the right hand side from Miller. Ball comes in, fantastic header, and then from there, even the Cowshed Loyal. I think I saw. Did Nichols go over to Cowshed Loyal after the first goal and start? Let's go, and the atmosphere from that just went from here to.
Definitely. And like I said, superb header and very, very well taken. But I think that's what you need when you're in a position where you're down 2 strikers and you've another striker that is suffering a real lack of confidence because of the situation that he finds himself in and a lack of game time. And I'm being very nice there because there are not very nice things that I could say about him, but I'm choosing not to. You're essentially you're sort of putting together a front line or a front one that you wouldn't ever pick if you had the choice. So what we need then is to flood the box because we need the goals to come from anywhere and everywhere. You need Harness popping up with a goal. You need Humphreys, Ledson, McGuane popping up with the goals because you've lost your main outlet. So excellent to see him scoring, but I think a lot of these players will see this time without May and without Bojan as a time where they can sort of step in and go, right, we can show that we can step up when needed to fill the boots of a player that's not here.
And Steve, should all the players be doing that anyway?
Well, yeah, but I think it's imperative that the senior players such as Harness, such as Ledson do that and show an example, which is what Harness did. Scoring a goal like that at that time in the match to get us back into it with a possibility of getting a result is what we brought him in to do. And he hadn't shown it for a large proportion of the season. However, under Manning, he's certainly been a lot better. And so has Ledson. And that's what we were hoping that those players were going to come on and do.
Yeah, we certainly will. Paul says Harness is good in that role. He's been given one of the Town's best players at the moment. Okay, Ian, I've seen your comment as well. I'm going to come to that once we've spoke about this game against the Seasiders. Paul also says, and Ashley was a banker to score. He was biting at the bit to get on, and he was brilliant. M&M, Miller and Mumba clicked. And also Marcus said, after Jed said that, was Ballymumba putting a delicious cross for the second goal. He's getting better with each game. Cracking signing. And Steve, it was a lovely move down that left-hand side. As we mentioned, M&M worked down that left-hand side, beautifully held off, put the cross in, and Ashia, I don't think I've ever seen Ashia win a header, I'll be honest with you, while he's played, and it's quite annoying. But the time he wants to stick his head on it, he managed to do so. He keeps it down, 2 apiece, came on.
Well, I think there was a thing, wasn't there, on when he did his interview afterwards, that he said that he hadn't scored a header since he was like 12. So a bit like Josh Karoma, really. You never saw Josh Karoma score a header either. Seemingly these sorts of players don't particularly like using their head. But I think, listen, he was in the right space at the right time, wasn't he? And he got on the end of it, and that's all you can ask. And it then set up a final 5, 6, 7 minutes, whatever was added on, that we could go and score a winner. And I thought in the second half we deserved the equaliser. I thought we deserved it in the end because we'd obviously worked hard for, since the subs came on, that made a real difference. I didn't think Nichols had a lot to do. Thought the defence was a lot better. We spoke about why that might be. So for me, it was brilliant. And do you know what? It shows the fight and desire that they all have for each other. When they're celebrating like that, and Nichols is going and giving a right fist to Cal, in particular in the Cowshed Loyal, saying, "I told you so. I told you so, Callum. We'd come back." I think it's brilliant to see.
Did you feel as if Steve, if there were another 10 minutes, Town might have gone and won that game.
I think potentially, yeah. Then again, Blackpool nearly had a chance at the end, didn't they? And we just managed to scramble it clear. So I think either team could have gone on to win it. But I would have liked to have hoped with the atmosphere that was in the stadium, we would have gone on to win that game and clinch another 3-2. But it just didn't happen that way. But tell you what, walking out the ground, I certainly felt it was one of those draws that felt like a win because we'd come back, and it also probably felt good to pee Ian Evertoff, who looked certainly a bit rumbled on the touchline after he got his yellow card.
That's just his face. It always looks like that. I've seen him in post-match interviews when they've won. He's like, "So, Ian, good result." Yeah, fine. Yeah, no.
I don't think you're happy with the consistency of the referee, and I'll be honest with you, I can understand why. Ian says, Ashia's smallest player on the pitch crops up with a header. Now, another great comment from Ian. He's got two in that I've not gone through yet, but we're going to go to this one first. Manning is breeding a mental grit into the team. Last two games, we've won in extra time and come back from 2-0 down. It couldn't be more right, Ian, could it, Cal?
Spot on. And I think that's what's been missing, that sort of belief and mental fortitude, like we say, to be able to go 2-0 down and pick yourself back up and go, right, okay, we need to get one back and then think about what's next. Because we saw it time and time again where we go 1-0 down. I picked the Burton game, actually, Lee Grant's last game in charge, as a perfect example of a lack of resilience and mental sort of fortitude, that we just looked so lost. The players were looking at each other as if they'd never played with each other before. And it's a different side to look at now, and it's a different Huddersfield Town team to watch. And after such a short space of time, it does leave you wondering, what was the instruction before? What was
this is my next question to you, Cal. What do you think was the instructions before? And what's the difference now between under the old manager and the new manager?
I don't imagine there's a great deal of difference. What I think is happening is that Lee Grant probably did have all the right ideas, but expressed them in a way that it was impossible for a footballer to be able to make it happen on the pitch. And it got lost in the jargon of this modern day sort of football vernacular that we're moving through the phases and the zones and whatever. Liam Manning, I think, and you see it. I don't know if anyone's watched that new video on the Town YouTube channel, that Unrestricted. You see his sort of clarity and his very, very simple yet methodical approach. He knows exactly what's going on, and he knows exactly what the challenge is and what the task is, but he will talk to the players and he will explain it in a way that makes them understand, but also makes them buy into what we're doing. And Jacko did the same, and Wagner did the same, and to a certain extent, Carlos did the same. They were able to explain football in a way that the players got excited about what they were doing. And it's like Paul's just put in there. It's back to basics. It is back to basics. What you do in the playground, and then you add a couple more bits in, and you add a bit of professional flair, and hopefully at the end of it, you've got a professional. Well, you do have a professional football team, but you've got a successful football team, I should say.
Yeah, I've not managed to watch the latest episode of Unrestricted, but it is absolutely fantastic. If you've not watched them, it's a great. It's a great insight. It's a great insight. You know, if you've watched the Sunderland thing, the Wrexham thing, the Spurs, Arsenal,
we are horrible to Lee Grant in that documentary, by the way.
I might make it tonight's watch then. But it's a great insight to football, and it's a shame it's just on YouTube. But you know, if they continue doing it and it gets more views, and who knows what could happen with it, because I think it's absolutely brilliant. Bearing in mind they're doing it on their own as well. Whereas Sunderland had Netflix come in and Wrexham have had Disney come in and Spurs Arsenal had Prime come in. It really is a credit to the media side, Huddersfield Town, for doing that. So do give it a watch if you get a chance. Steve, a question to you as well is, what do you think the difference is between Lee Grant and now Liam Manning? What's the difference in the sides?
Well, one's actually managed football games before, so he's seen how to react to different situations. Albeit he's had very difficult circumstances in his first 4 Town games, but we've seen now that he's able to react to different situations and come through those with flying colours. I think, like just what Cal's just said. He comes across well. I think what I like is in every interview that I've listened to him so far, I haven't disagreed with the word he said. He's come out and said we need to be better at this sometimes. There's things that we need to work on. We did this well, or we need to look at this, and I think I've just agreed with most of what he said, to be honest. And I really like him. I kind of was expecting to not like him because everybody kind of said, "Oh, he's Grant 2.0 and you'll get this." And I think it just shows, that. And all right, we've only had 4 games and it's a small segment of hopefully what is going to be a long managerial stint. But I think it just proves that you just don't need to listen as much to other fan bases, and I think you need to make your own mind up. Treat the man with how he is at our club at this moment in time, and maybe not listen to the outside noise as much. But yeah, he's made a great start. I think if you'd have said to him, get unbeaten in your first 4 games and win 3 of them and draw the other after being 2-0 down, I think he'd have snapped your hand off, wouldn't he? Particularly, in the first day of the job. So he's done really well, and long may it continue.
Sorry, mate. Yeah, it's good, is that, because you're bringing me up to a question I wanted to come on to that Ian's put in. Just before we do, he's also put, my guess is money's not complicated things compared to Grant. The manager, guys, has the ability to change games and get the results, says Paul. Okay, so I did mention I was going to go back to something that Ian had put in the comments here. Stephen, I'll come back to you as well. Manning is breeding. No, we've got that one. It's not that one. Sorry, Ian. Poor mate. There we go. Right. Manning has got 10 points from 12. We are nitpicking. The team will get better, and the bodies and boards well for the playoffs. He makes a great point. We are nitpicking, aren't we? But 10 points from 12 for a manager in the first 4 games, Steve, it's a fantastic turnaround.
But we're here to nitpick. If we'd be just boring, we'd be on 5 minutes saying, he's won 3 games and he's drawn 1. Well done. 2 lads. Right, go over. We've got to talk about something, haven't we? So I think, we are nitpicking. I think there will be, listen, there's going to be losses in between now and the end of the season. I mean, if he went absolutely unbeaten, Jesus, that'd be some start to a managerial career if he didn't lose a single game in his next 15. But I think let's just keep the vibes high. Let's keep positive. We've had a lot of negativity this year, and rightly so, by the way. We've been right in a lot of things that we've said on the channel so far this season. But it's good to be positive. It's good to be behind the manager. I love the fact that he's so passionate on the touchline. He never sits down. Never ever sits down. And he's not just there standing with his arms crossed. He's like absolutely giving it to somebody if they're not doing what he's asked them to do. I love that. I think it's brilliant. It's what a manager should be. You should have a bit of passion and drive about you. End of the day, it's your job that's on the line, isn't it? You're the one that's going to be sacked, not anybody else. So it's a great start. There's going to be things that we'll probably see in the future that we might not like, but he's shown to be very good at reacting to situations, and that can only be a good start. But if we can not get into an habit of going 2-0 down early in games, that would be good as well.
Yeah, it certainly would. Carl, Steve mentioned about Liam Manning orchestrating on the site, on the touchline. Again, are we nitpicking, or is it just a fantastic start that Liam Manning's had?
wonderful position that we're in, that we can sit here and nitpick to this degree without sitting and stating the obvious that, oh, we played awful yesterday. Oh, we got the tactics all wrong. Like we did so many times this season. We've sat here, and the elephant in the room is that the team have been horrific, and the performance has matched it and been awful. And we've sort of tried to sort of weave around and talk about the intricacies of the game while avoiding the elephant in the room and calling a spade a spade. Whereas now we have to find the intricacies and nitpick because it's going really quite well and they're playing really quite well. And that doesn't make for great listening and watching if you're on YouTube. But I think it's good that we're able to sit here and pick in such detail about things like switching positions and switching wings and does it work and doesn't it work, because that means that the basics are being done right. If we can sit here and not have any major quibbles about big things, the basics are finally being done right. And let us focus on the little things.
I want to get to the point where we're moaning about the fact that the lines aren't being painted properly on the pitch.
I'm going to be honest, lads. My pie was a measly 8.4 degrees at half time.
It must be like how Man City fans feel, or
only won 4-0 today. Oh,
yeah,
only 4-0. Couple of comments and then we're going to move on. So John says, picking a manager is a lottery. Until they are working in the club, you simply don't know if they're a good fit or not. Paul mentioned about what it's like supporting a Town fan. It's always being a Town fan. It's always interesting. He's saying that Liam Manning went berserk when Ashley scored on the sidelines. And Dale, good evening to you. We've not seen a comment from you, I don't think, yet. Certain managers click with certain clubs. First impressions have been definitely impressed. And long may it continue. Let's get enough points to make the playoffs and let teams worry about us for a change. Okay,
just going back to John's comment, we must have lost a lot of lotteries then, because it is a lottery getting a manager, but we must be bad at picking lottery tickets.
I do think the good thing about this particular manager is that a lot was made about his time at Norwich beforehand and how abysmal it was, and it was. You can't say that it was anything else. It was really poor. But he needs this as much as we need him.
Yeah.
So there's just as much at stake for him as there is for the club, and I think that's a really good position to be in, because it means that we'll be getting the best out of him, and in turn, he will be getting the best out of the players.
Well, he said it, didn't he? In that unrestricted, in the first ever meeting to the players, he said something along the lines of proving people wrong.
We all know what's happened before. I'm here to prove a point or something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, gents. So we've spoke about the league. We just mentioned there about making the playoffs and let teams worry about us. We've got a cup competition on our hands though as well. Doncaster at home on Tuesday. The EFL Trophy. It's a quarter-final or a semi-final for the Northern section. And the winner will play either Port Vale or Stockport. In the context of things, how are we, again, look, we've mentioned it before, it kind of a pointless cup, unless you get to the final, which we will be there. But, Carl, is Tuesday's game another one for Liam Manning to just keep trying to get things right, work things out on the field, blood some of the players that haven't played so many minutes, like Wales, and Alfie May is available as well, by the way.
Yeah, it's a good opportunity, I think, to keep tweaking and keep changing these systems and figure out what is your best system for all the different areas that he's got to try and figure out, because it has been hectic. His start has been sort of pretty fixture stacked, more than you would probably like. And maybe he's not had as much time to get to know the players as he would like, because work's got in the way. So get to know them on the training pitch and then try different things in these competitions, because I would love a playoff finish. And I'll be honest, if we lose 4-0 to Doncaster, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. It's a cup competition, nice to be in it, but ultimately, if if winning this cup competition comes at the detriment of finishing in the playoffs, I don't want it. So
Although we will have some nitpicking to do, though, if it is a 4-0 loss to Doncaster.
there'll be more than nitpicking, mate. I'll have my big book out and bang, right.
Steve, just a couple of comments coming in. One from Paul says, we've got great squad depth now. He can change the full squad and still bring on a team to get a result for me on Tuesday. Matt Glennon made the point was, get minutes into unused players. May and Wales up front would be a great training session for Wales. More games are better for Manning to try things, says Ian. 2 games away from Wembley, says Jed. Steve, are you in agreement? I think you think the games are good. Keep them coming. You want to see Town progress in the cup.
Yeah, momentum is a positive thing, isn't it? You know, we have seen the cup competitions be quite useful in for that momentum purpose, whether it's the League Cup or this trophy. We've seen Joe Taylor, I think, score, was it 4 against somebody earlier in the group stage, or a hat-trick or whatever. And I know he's not playing for us now, but in terms of his form, it was good to see him score. And Alfie May, I think, yeah, you're right, he will be able to play tomorrow, so I suspect that we will see him. I can see the midfield changing a little bit in McGuane and Ledson. I think they'll be out, and it's a good chance to see some of the young lads like Vost, and I hope Ashia gets a start tomorrow. I think that'd be really good to see him play 90 minutes again, or at least a large proportion. So why not go out, like Cal says, try things. But yeah, if you don't make it through, on your bike, Manning. No, we it's not good enough. No, it don't really matter, does it? Like Cal says, everybody's sat here and going, if we make it to a playoff final and we win the playoffs and we don't get to Wembley in this crap competition, nobody's going to care, because we won't be in it next year. We're in the Championship, so who cares about it?
Okay, but Stephen, in terms of the game itself, you mentioned about seeing some of the younger players. Is that the right thing? I mean, Jed just put Alves, hasn't been used. Surely you want the team to go and put a good squad together for the game, and why not make it to Wembley as well, though?
If I was Grant McCann, I'd be absolutely showing this clip to his players before the game.
I think
about us, lads.
I don't know if Grant McCann will know about Town Talk on the West Yorkshire.
To be fair, sure. I've heard he watches.
Does he? All right. Good luck, Grant.
Yeah, Grant.
We've got a mutual contact. Yeah, we've got mutual contact, and he watches every week. Loves the show. He's a big fan of it.
Okay. All right. Okay. Hello, Mr. McCann. Hope you're doing well, sir. I think. What were you questioning about young players? Sorry, I'd be a bit. I think it's a bit harsh saying that Alves isn't a young lad. By the way, he's only 21. Yeah, give him. Yeah, let him play. I don't know. He don't seem to rate him, does he? In the first couple of games, he hasn't even brought him on once. So I don't know really why that's he's not done that. So yeah, I would expect
that rumour mill right up. Come on, what's he done?
He's stolen a few cones in training or something. I'd play Alves tomorrow. Yeah, I'd play it definitely.
Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday. Sorry, not tomorrow. Ed's gone. Ed
has gone, hasn't it? Right. Okay. So enough about the cup then. Cal, massive game on Saturday. Stevenage away, half-12 kickoff. Stevenage has probably been the surprise package this season. I think they've been absolutely fantastic so far. I think they've been one of the better sides to come to the ACU this year. I think they set up superbly well, got a lovely formation. They work hard for each other, they're physical. And again, yet again, it is going to be a tough test for Liam Manning. It
is, but they come into it in poor form. Given that they've lost the last two, they lost to Barnsley, they lost to Northampton. They lost to Northampton yesterday, 3-1.
Yep.
And they didn't play all that well, but Northampton didn't make them look brilliant, but they didn't make Northampton look brilliant either. So I think what we will probably see is more of a conservative performance from probably both sides. They'll want to stop the rot, and we'll probably want to not leave these gaps and make these mistakes that allow Blackpool in just yesterday. So it'll be an interesting game. I'm not entirely sure what my expectations should be, given the sort of contrasting picture for both teams at the minute. They seem to be, and I am massively going to come to regret this when we've been beaten 2-0. And I say that they're on a bit of a slide and we're on a bit of a sort of upward trajectory. So it'll be interesting to see how that marries up on the day. I do think that they've got things in place that have the potential, players in their side that have the potential to upset the way that we set up, as they have done with a lot of teams this season. But I also now think that we're a much better side than the side that played them earlier in the season.
And Steve, I know you're eager to have a game every other day, but this one is on Saturday. How do you see this one going at the weekend?
Firstly, I think Bradford fans will be punching the screen right now, saying that they're your surprise team of the season, when Bradford have literally been third for the majority. But
I watched Bradford last year. I knew they were going to be all right.
I also don't.
I think for Stevenage, it's just been they couldn't keep that level up, could they? With the squad that they've got, and they've got a decent first 11. Let's be fair, and particularly a very good striker in is it Jamie Reid? I think it's Jamie Reid up top, who's very effective and scored a lot of goals at League 1 and League 2 level particularly. So they're a good side. They haven't got the sort of depth of their squad to do the Saturday Tuesday type of fixtures, and so I think we're seeing now the decline of how Stevenage might finish the season. They're still a very dangerous team. It's going to be a hard game. It's obviously 12:30, so the atmosphere might be a bit, meh. So Town have got to get up for it. They've got to go there thinking, you know what, we've got to show now why we want to be a very big threat in these playoff positions. We can't go to a club like Stevenage and not put in a performance, because we will get turned over, as we've seen at Burton and Northampton throughout the season. These teams can turn you over if you're not up for it. And Town's got to go there and really be up for it, and hopefully we are.
I think interestingly, they've got a league fixture on Tuesday. They've got Barnsley at home in the league. So they don't have the opportunity necessarily to rest players like we will if we rest players against Doncaster. So that could play into our hands slightly, given that, like Stephen says, they don't necessarily have the budget to have the squad depth to go Saturday, Tuesday. Don't know what their recovery is like, but it is a potential banana skin. Yes, absolutely. But in terms of their recovery time and the players that they'll use, and they'll want to beat Barnsley.
Well, it's their game in hand, isn't it? It's their game in hand, so
Exactly.
they need to win it to keep up with the sort of high water tide of what the playoff places are doing now.
Exactly. So it's not like they can sit back and sort of take it easy and get ready for Huddersfield, because they just can't do that, and you can't do that in any game in this league. But it does mean that where we can rest players and maybe take the foot off the pedal, they don't have that luxury.
No, they certainly don't. We've got some predictions already coming in, so I'm really happy with that. Ian, you'll have to let us know which one that prediction is. So do get them in. Anyone else that does want to comment your prediction in there, do it for both games. That'd be great. Before we go on to Steve and Cal's prediction, I just want to talk about deadline day, gents. Good deadline day, Cal?
Yeah, good deadline day for me. I mean, we knew that we needed a striker. Most sort of important was to get a striker in, just given the way that injuries and suspensions have fallen, plus also some cover. I think it's really important to have cover in that position because so easily, as we've seen, things can happen throughout a season where you are left sort of scratching your head and going, oh God, this doesn't look great. So that's a brilliant capture in Bobby Wales, a superb signing for our level and a great talent. I hope he's going to be one of those players that come in, lights up the town, and then we lose him and we never see him again. And then I also think Ryan Hardy, a brilliant capture for this level. Really good, experienced player, has done a lot at higher levels, and a good, experienced, almost leader. But I'm not so sure about coming in, signing him injured. That seems a very Huddersfield Town thing to do.
Yeah, it will be back in the next week or so. Paul says, brilliant deadline day. Any other this year, just a Monday. Hardy and Wales, brilliant signings. Dale says, surprised we'll let Herbie go out on loan. Brilliant transfer window overall. Steve, sorry, mate, I know you would literally, as I was saying, Carl, you said something, so I do apologise.
All right.
What was your thoughts on deadline day?
I was just going to say it was an unusual busy deadline day, wasn't it? We've normally, you know how everybody, you see Sky Sports and whatever, and everybody's in the offices at 6 a.m. Well, at Town, normally you have that dust hurdle coming past the stadium on deadline day, and whatever happens. But yeah, it was a good deadline day. Thought Bobby Wales, I think he'd been linked with pretty much every League One club for most of January, so he was a good player to get in on loan. Not really he's not really known, is he? Interestingly, I don't know if you knew this, Kane. I'm sure that you did in your commentary facts, but his last name is Wales. He was he's a Scottish international, but he was actually born in Dublin, and now he plays in England. So there we are. He's rounding off, three of the nations in the United Kingdom, and at least one of them just outside in our neighbours. But yeah, I think Ryan Hardy coming in was the experienced one that was a bit of a shock to replace Bojan. I'm really glad that they've decided to go for that type of striker, something that we needed. The keeper, I don't really get the keeper, to be honest. I think it's just a bit of a. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Well, he'll be one of them that we've signed. He'll never play. And in 20 years, everybody, oh, yeah, you remember him? I don't even, So, yeah, I'm not really sure. He might play tomorrow.
It's a case of, Town have got some very young goalkeepers. So to have a number 3 who is a senior, allowing Jacob Chapman to go out on loan and get game time, I think it does make sense. As we mentioned, he's probably not going to get the game time, but to have
it makes sense. But then why a short-term deal?
Well, you're not going to need him next year because Jacob Chapman will be back.
I just think it's a weird one for him.
No, but you have Jacob Chapman back, and your youth goalkeepers in the academy, they've gone out on loan as well, got game time. So overall, the players that currently are there, they're out getting game time.
I get it. I just don't get it for him. He's coming and not even sitting on the bench for 6 months. He's coming and getting people's cups of tea.
Probably getting paid more than we're getting paid at Newport.
Well,
yeah, probably
possibly, yeah. But then the 2 lads going out on loan. Let's not forget that. Obviously, Herbie Kane. That's the weird one for me. As Manning coming in and seeing that he's not really fixed, we've seen training videos of him out on the grass, and we know he's been training for a couple of weeks. So I was just a bit. I don't know what your lads' thoughts were on Herbie Kane going out on loan. I think it was obvious that Ruben Ruskin was going to leave. If we're being honest,
he's failed upwards.
Well, the only thing is, everybody kept saying that he was going to go back to Holland. The Netherlands. And he's ended up at Oxford. Now, I don't know if Oxford is technically closer to the Netherlands than Huddersfield, but
I think Oxford at this point must act as some sort of satellite Huddersfield Town football club.
Well,
welcome to the Huddersfield B team.
I do like Ruben Ruskin. I don't think his head will in it this season, and I don't know if Herbie Kane had the fight in him to play for a Town shirt. Okay, let's have a look at these predictions that we've got coming in. So we've got Ian Nichols. This is for the Stevenage game. Are you all right there, Cal?
Oh,
Well,
that caught me off guard, that, mate.
yeah, it did. It got me off guard as well. Well done, Ken.
Oh, well done, mate. That was really good.
Yeah. A bit like
We
Herbie
obviously
did.
kept the fight,
Okay.
didn't we?
Okay.
Rightio. Now we've all calmed down. Let's go back to the predictions.
Composure, lad. Come on, composure.
Yeah,
Professional.
composure. Ian, 3-1 Town, renewed confidence under Manning. And Ian, I'm assuming you've put it a little bit further down. It was 3-1 over Stevenage is what you were saying. Unless you mean 3-1 for both, but we'll go with whatever. And we'll say it's two positive things there. So thank you very much for that one. Terrier 930. Town 5, Doncaster 0. Stevenage 1, Town 3. Paul, whoa, what we're going for some positivity here, Paul. 2-2 against Donny. Penalties. Town to win, of course, because it's penalties. Town always win on penalties. And Town 2-0 on Saturday as well. Dale says Town 3, Donny 1, and Stevenage 1, Town 2. Mark says Town 3, Doncaster 2. Oh, big scoring game on Tuesday. Stevenage 0, Town 1. What else have we got in here? I think that's pretty much everyone. If anyone's got some last minute predict, oh, there we go, Jed. 3-1 Town against Donny and 3-0 Town against Stevenage. Okay, which means, Steve, what is your prediction for the two games this week?
Thank Christ Oliver's not on. He'd be going 10-0 Town with all his positivity. I'll go Town 2, Donny 0, and Town 2, Stevenage 1.
Thank you very much. And Cal?
I'm going Town 2, Donny 0, and Town 1, Stevenage 0.
I'm just loving the positivity here. The positivity, it's unbelievable. But for a Sunday evening, when we've all got to go to work tomorrow, we're going to get up nice and early, we can finish the week on such a high, and it's fantastic. We had a great comeback yesterday. Steve's positives, Cal's positive. We got positive comments. Honestly, what else can I say apart from thank you everybody for listening, for viewing. Your comments have been absolutely superb. You know the score. Like, subscribe, share, all that. It's been a West Yorkshire football show, a Talk Town special. The headline this week was Town leave it late to steal a point from the Seasiders. Well, have a fabulous week, everybody. Thank you very much. Join us next week. And until then, we shall